All right, let's try this for econ then. Number 5. Ah, what? Okay, first, we're going to be talking about the effects of a change in price. We have these budget lines and these indifference curves like we did from the previous chapter. If the price falls, that's going to expand out how much you can buy. And if we follow the indifference curves here, they're going to buy this much of Y and this much X, and then this basket and this basket. And if you trace this along, you get something called the price consumption curve. And then if you take a look at these baskets down here with their corresponding prices of like the price X with the basket here, you get this point right here. And so when the price drops, it's going to move along the demand curve. Remember that from high school, that when the price drops, so you're just moving along the demand curve. This is called the price consumption curve, linking in these baskets when the price drops, or you can just move along the demand curve or move along different budget lines. The demand curve is also a willingness to pay curve, remember. So here in the budget, as you can see, they substitute 10 or 10. So the MRS right here is 1. And so therefore it's going to be $4 there. And then if you look here, it's going to be 1/2. So 1/2 of $4 is $2. And then right here it's 1/4, and then 1/4 of $4 is $1. I'm a little confused on this. Now we're going to talk about when the whole income rises, when the whole budget curve is going to shift out like this. When you connect all those points there, you get the income consumption curve. And so when you translate this over to demand, this is the whole curve moving. So let's go back here. When the one price one good is going out, it's just expanding the budget curve and one good here, and that's going to get you the price consumption curve, and that will be a shift along the demand curve. And then when income rises, it shifts the whole budget curve, and if you connect those points, you get the income consumption curve, and then it shifts the whole demand curve. Then we can make something called an angle curve, which relates income to the amount that they're buying. And so if it has a positive slope, that means that as income goes up, they're buying more, so it's going to be a normal good. But if it has a negative slope, then as the income goes up, they're going to be buying less. So that's going to be an inferior good. Sometimes it doesn't have to be just one whole thing here. So this is all positive slope to all normal goods. It can also kind of do this like turn kind of thing. So see here, they had this income and they bought this much, and then the income got higher, so then they bought more of it, and then they bought less of it as it got even higher. So see, as this is hot dogs right here. So as our income goes up, we're going to buy more and more hot dogs, and then we can afford other things that are better than hot dogs. So then we're going to buy less of it. So it starts. So it's positive here, normal good, and then it goes into inferior negative slope. Here's a problem. So basically, this problem is just saying that when it's a normal good, it's going to be the income elasticity demand is going to be positive, which we kind of did, even though we didn't say back in the previous chapter. Yeah. Obviously, we can't just look at this graphically. We're going to have to look at it algebraically. So here's a problem to get you started. So the first part is asking to show that the equation for the demand curve is equal to I over 2 px. So we have this utility function here. Whoops. And so we get the two marginal utilities here, and then we have this other equation here. So remember, we set this, so MRS xy is equal to the ratio of the prices, and then look here, we can cross multiply here, and we get ypy equals xpx. Then we can change this into px x. So then that just turns into 2px x equals I, and then so remember, when I'm finding the demand function, we're basically solving for this x right here. So then we divide by 2px, and we get that what they said right here. So next, they want us to show if the x is a if food is a normal good. So we see that the equation for demand is x over I px, and then they give us two income levels, 120 and 200s, and then it gives us these when we simplify, and then we can change this over into px equals 60. So this way we can graph it, and it turns into this graph over here. See, if you do y equals 60 over x and then 100 over x, you get these two plots right here. And we see as income is increasing, then we are buying more of it. So it's going to be a normal good, as we can see in their graph here. Yeah, so then so I moves out and then they buy more of it, so it's a normal good. So here's another problem. So they want us to show that the equation for the demand curve is this thing. All right, let's do it. So we have this utility function right here, and then we find the marginal utilities here, and the ratio of those is going to equal the ratio of the prices, and the px equals 1, py is py, so then we get this. Then we can solve for x here and get x equals ypy times, this thing right here. And then, so then we're gonna plug this x into the income equation right here. So we get 2 ypy's here, and then plus the 10 py equals 100. And then we solve for y here, which then gives us this thing right here. So basically, you're going to solve for one variable, the one you're not looking for, by using this ratio of prices thing. And you're going to plug that into the income one, and that's going to give you it all in terms of the other variable. And then you can solve for that variable, and that's how you get your demand function. And so if you look at the table, it's going to have a corner point solution, because if py is over 10, then they're going to buy only the other good. And you can see that on the demand curve here. As it gets to 10, they're going to buy negative amounts. So then it's actually just they're buying none of it, buying only the other good, which is food here. So next up, we have the substitution effect and the income effect. And remember, the substitution effect is the effect that happens from when they're substituting for the other good when that price falls or whatever. And then this one is when the price falls and they feel richer, so they're going to buy. Because they have more purchasing power, they're gonna buy more stuff. This is actually not too hard. All right, so we have this budget. So first, we start out just with this, as we've seen before. We have this budget line and the indifference curve, and they have this basket here. And then all of a sudden, this price is going to drop. It's going to shift this one out. So now we're in this state where we have their initial basket and their final basket. And now we want to find out how much of this they're buying because they're substituting because the price is less for this good. And we also want to see like how much they're buying just because they feel richer and they can buy more. So what we're going to do is we're going to say, all right, well, what would happen if we shifted this curve back so that they're the same level of utility as before, so they don't feel richer, but how much are they going to buy just because this good is cheaper? So we're going to take this curve, this top one here, I'm going to shift it down so it is now parallel to this initial utility curve U1. So basically, we're taking a curve that's parallel to this, finding out how it's tangent to this one, or we're shifting it down from here to here. See, so then, so now that we've shifted this curve down, we find this new optimal point where it's tangent right there, and that's how we find this decomposition basket right here. And so then, so this area right here between XA and XB, this is going to be the substitution effect, and then the rest of it, the XB to XC, is going to be the income effect. And so you might be wondering why we didn't shift the initial budget curve out to here to find this other point where it's tangent to this second curve, kind of like we did in class, but that concept is coming up soon, so just hold on for that. All right, so this first case we looked at is what happens when the good is a normal good, where we have the substitution effect is here, and then this can have an extra income effect here. But if it is a inferior good, they're going to work in opposite directions, where this basket, the income effect is going to decrease it. So we still have a positive substitution effect from XA all the way to XB, but then it's going to go back down to C. So basically, we saw this second tangent curve here, and then we've compared it to this basket, and then we see that it's inside the substitution effect in a way. If it falls right on the boundary where we have the substitution effect from A to B, and then we look at the income effect and it lands in the same place, and that means that there is no income effect. Hold on. Yeah, so the income effect here is going to be 0, so it is neither a normal good or an inferior good here, because 0 is not positive or negative, right? So then there's this other case here where instead of falling within and taking away some of the substitution effect, it actually overthrows the entire thing, comes over here and makes so this means that they're actually going to buy less of it when the price goes down, and that's called a Giffen good right here. And remember that a Giffen good means that the demand curve is actually positive sloping instead of negative sloping. And they actually haven't really found one of these yet. They thought the Irish potato famine one might be one, but in order for a Giffen good to happen, it has to have a negative. First, you have to have a negative income elasticity demand, and then also the good has to be a large part of your budget.